So, as you all know, Dan Lanning, the head coach of Oregon, he caught a lot of flack after his pregame comments right before the Oregon Ducks destroyed the Colorado Buffaloes. Now, one of the people that took issue with what Dan Lanning said was Skip Bayless, and this is what Skip Bayless had to say.
There is a deep-rooted sort of a venomous vengeance that is starting to manifest itself against Deion among white coaches, and I'm not going to say they're all white because we saw what Jay Norvell did just 2 weeks ago, right?
You're right.
Okay?
You're right.
It's deep-rooted and seated because Deion didn't pay any dues that they all had to pay.
So you guys just heard what Skip Bayless had to say, and this is what Dan had to say in response to Skip Bayless.
A lot of talk of nationally about your pregame speech and your aggressive play calling. I think Skip Bayless called it venomous vengeance. Just curious what your thoughts are on that and kind of how your words have been skewed a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know Skip at all. I've never had a conversation with him. I've watched him enough to know how often he gets it wrong. So, I mean, that sounds about right.
So you guys just heard what Dan Lanning said. Now, I got wind of some pregame footage of Deion Sanders' son Shiloh, and he was talking cash shit to the Oregon Ducks.
We talk with our past. When they talk, you don't say shit. You don't say shit. You talk with these. You talk to your helmet. I'll beat the f*** out anyone that say I coach.
So you guys heard what Shiloh said. Now, if you guys missed it, he said, quote, "I'll beat the fuck out of every one of y'all and y'all coach. Why are y'all so little?" So I gotta be honest with you guys, ladies and gentlemen. It seemed as if everybody was coming for Deion Sanders and these kids at Colorado, but it's clear, man, these guys are out here talking cash shit as well, right? They're stepping on the O and disrespecting their field, right? The same way Nebraska was disrespecting the Buffs in their first home game, ladies and gentlemen, Colorado did the exact same thing. So, listen, now that I've seen this footage and now that this footage has been made aware to me, all bets are off now, ladies and gentlemen. All bets are off, right? If you're going to be talking cash shit, you got to be able to deal with whatever the consequences are. And apparently for Shiloh, there were some serious consequences because I came across this article from the New York Post, and apparently Deion Sanders' son Shiloh was hospitalized after the Oregon loss. Apparently he was peeing blood, right? So I don't know, man. I don't think the talking worked out last game for Deion Sanders' son. Now, Jason Whitlock, as you all know, he's been extremely critical of Deion Sanders, and he had this to say about this incident.
Before the game, Colorado, Shiloh out there, I'll beat everyone's A, including your coach, blah, blah, blah. Oregon's coach saying, ignore them, talk with your pads. Some Colorado players talking about, we're about to murder the Ducks. All this, everybody trying to be Deion Sanders. They don't have Deion's talent. I didn't know this, Steve, until early this afternoon. Shiloh Sanders got taken to the hospital after the game. He was pissing blood. These kids, Deion has written checks that these kids can't cash, and trying to instill his mindset into these players that don't have his talent is one of the biggest, dumbest mistakes I've ever seen a head coach make.
Yeah, and there was before when they came into the stadium, stomping on the O, putting their cleats on it. I would call that behavior, get this, Jason, venomous venom. Yeah, the irony of that. It's interesting, I think you pointed out yesterday, it seemed to me like a lot of the black Oregon players, they wanted some of the Buffaloes. It just wasn't the Glacier Glider Ducks. So this was about team, culture, and identity, and ideological battle. And I will give Dan Lanning credit. He took over a pretty good team from Mario Cristobal, and to his credit, he's building on it. That is a serious, football coach. That's a young man early into his journey as a head coach that came from the Kirby Smart tree at Georgia. And you see the way they operate. I see a lot of Georgia Bulldog in them. They're physical, they're tough, they're big, and they are serious people. And what we saw on Saturday was the sizzle and the steak. And the sizzle fizzled out as soon as the ball was kicked off. And that's our point, is that when you are turning Colorado into a victim here, because that's what it's all about, the victimology. When you see this behavior, you understand why they are receiving this type of energy from their opponents, opposing coaches, some of the media that has enough guts to be honest about it. And I'm not castigating Colorado. They can act any way they want. I've liked teams that have acted just like that, but that comes at a price.
So you guys just heard what Jason Whitlock had to say, and I gotta be honest, man. I kind of agree with him. You know what I mean? The whole narrative has been, man, everybody's just coming for Deion Sanders and these kids at Colorado, but as we see, that's not entirely the truth, right? These kids are talking shit, they're talking spicy as well, and if you're gonna do that, you got to be willing to take on whatever consequences may come with it, right? So I hope Deion Sanders' son Shiloh is okay. Like I said, the New York Post reported that he is peeing blood, so hopefully he can get healthy and be available for USC this weekend, because they're definitely going to need him, ladies and gentlemen. And like I said on yesterday's video, USC, that's going to be a tall task for Colorado to beat. So I'm rooting for the Buffs, but will they win? Got to be honest with you, I don't know if I see it, right? So what I want from you guys is to come into the comments, man, and let me know your thoughts on Deion Sanders' team also talking shit, letting their nuts hang on the opposition. And like I said, man, if you're going to be doing these kinds of things, hey, all bets are off. I've got no issues with anything Oregon has said now that I've seen that footage from Shilo. I mean, the dude said, "I'll beat your coach's ass," right? So after you say something like that, all bets are off, man. All bets are off, So that's really all I got, man, on this topic. I will catch you guys on the next one. This was another installment of The Locker Room. Peace.